Hello world, welcome back to HTRC. I got another charger to review here from HTRC. They sent me basically 3 chargers. This is the third in the line of chargers that I'm reviewing. I also reviewed the B6 V2, the C240, and then here's the T240. So the B6 V2 is an 80 watt single channel charger, pretty typical of other chargers in this class. Sells for about $45 and does up to 80 watts, which is the cool thing. Now the C240 is basically a dual version of the B6 V2. It's got up to 150 watts if you're running on AC and 240 watts if you run it on DC. And this is the T240, so this is sort of the higher end version of the C240. Pretty much exactly the same as the C240. Go ahead and check out that review if you haven't already. Features are exactly the same, except the really nice thing about this is they include a touchscreen full color display. So it looks much nicer. Sells for about $8 to $10 more than the C240, somewhere around $85, $90 on Amazon, depending on when you buy it. But yeah, very competitive price. It has really nice specs. So 240 watts on DC, that's 120 watts per channel. This is 2-channel, of course. You can charge 2 batteries at a time. Or if you run it on AC like I have here, it does 150 watts, which is up to about 100 watts on one side and 50 watts on the other, or you can split it up any way you want up to 100 watts. So normally I run 75, and that allows me to charge 2 2S batteries pretty easily. So you know, as per usual, the way you figure out how much wattage you need, you basically multiply the ending voltage on a battery. So for example, this 2S LiPo I've got here, you're going to charge it up to 8.4 volts. You multiply that times the number of amps that you want to charge at, and that's the amount of wattage that you need. So I'll go into the charger real quick. Obviously the display up front, there are 2 channels, so the highlighted one is the one you're on, so channel 1's there. If you want to go to channel 2, you just tap that. It's pretty easy to see. The physical charger itself is actually quite small. As you can see, you know, it's about the size of 2 LiPos, so quite compact. Actually, this is my favorite charger that I bring every day to the track, just because it's really compact. I don't need an external power supply, and it's got enough juice to basically charge anything that I need that I'm bringing to the track, which are, you know, essentially 2S LiPos. On the left-hand side, you've got basically a air inlet, and on the right-hand side, you've got a fan as well as the DC input. That's an XT60 connector. You've got the PC link in case you want to update the firmware. On the front, you've got the leads, so positive, negative, of course, the actual balance ports, and then also some external temperature sensors. On the back, you have an on-off switch and the AC plug itself. It's nice to actually see an on-off switch. Very few chargers actually have that. Now these are leads that I typically use for my inboard type batteries, but that's not what it comes with. What it comes with is a little package of stuff here. So you got 2 balance boards, of course. You've got all your connectors. So it comes with the Tamiya plugs, the XT60s, as well as some alligator clips for both sides. And then finally you get a DC alligator clips for your external power supply. So that's what comes in the box, as well as a manual, of course. But I'm actually running my own leads. So in terms of features, you know, if you look at the display here, it basically shows you everything you can do. So it's really nice because it's super fast to charge a battery. For example, I've got a 2S LiPo. I just touch LiPo. I just check what I want to do. So you can either do storage, charge, balance, or discharge, of course. I always do balance charging when I'm charging. And then you just adjust what you want. So 2-cell, 3-cell, or actually it's set to 2-cell because that's what it's connected to. End voltage, discharge, etc., charge current, and then you just hit start. And then it goes ahead and starts. Now this display actually shows you some nice information, the temperature, the voltage it's currently got, what the battery has in terms of voltage, and then the current it's charging at. Finally, the capacity of the actual milliamps that's put into the battery. And the other cool thing is you kind of get this little bar graph. It doesn't have any units, so what I think this is actually voltage. You'll still see the voltage kind of climbing and then get up to you know, 8.4 volts, for example, and then start declining, or not declining, but basically tapering off there. So I'm going to go ahead and stop. Oh, you can also hit the cell to show what the voltage is on each cell and then their capacity, you know, how much they're actually being charged. So pretty neat overall, little timer, etc. And then while you're charging one side, you can obviously go to the other channel and do a different type of battery or the same battery or whatever. Maybe you want to do lithium ion, etc. So that's pretty neat overall. So those are all the different battery types. It can also charge smart batteries, which are special types of like batteries that you might use in laptops that it can communicate with and figure out when to stop and charge all that stuff. I don't have any smart batteries, so I don't really use that. Also, there's all the different settings you want to do. So your standard stuff like buzzer, input voltage, etc. All these things are pretty much exactly the same as the C240, which I have. And so I'm not going to go through all of them, but as you can see, you can basically adjust each channel separately. Memory is really nice, so once you kind of get used to this charger, you can save a few different basically profiles. I think it's up to 6. So really, if you only have like a few different battery types, you can just set whatever you want, just touch it, and then you can go ahead and go. So maybe I have one set up for 2S, 5 amps, up to 4.2 volts per cell, and then you just go ahead and start. So it's just like super fast and easy to use, especially if you have those profiles already set up in memory. And that's what I really like about this much more over the C240. The C240 can get a little clunky because you have to scroll through different menus and select stuff and stuff, whereas this, you're just touching the screen a couple times and then you're already charging. So really nice interface overall. Other stuff, you can show what the actual batteries are. You can get the internal resistance check. So for example, it tested both cells, one at 7 milliohms, one at 12 milliohms. So I like that feature a lot. Very few chargers in this price range really have that feature. And then finally, you can calibrate it, obviously for the different channels. So anyways, overall, a very nice charger. As I mentioned, this is my favorite charger and actually the one I use the most, take to the track every time I go. And the reason for that is, it's just really compact, does everything I want, and has enough power to basically charge the batteries I want. Now, in terms of what I don't like, the number one thing is that when you're doing something on one channel, you really can't tell what it's doing when you go to the other channel. So if you start that, you might be charging on channel 1, then you switch over to channel 2, and then you can kind of forget that you're charging on channel 1, and there's really nothing to show you that it's actually charging or what it's doing. So that's my number one complaint. Second complaint is it doesn't really come with that many different types of leads. It's a little bit of a minor gripe, but I don't really use any of those leads it comes with, so I did have to supply my own. And I would say the third thing that I kind of dislike about this charger is the fans kind of go on and off on their own, just kind of randomly. I'm not really sure how it decides when to run the fans, but even when I'm not charging and everything is stopped, occasionally the fan will kick on and get a little annoying, but it's pretty minor overall, and I can't really say that's a big deal. So anyways, this is a really nice charger. I do like it a lot. As I mentioned, probably my favorite charger out of all the chargers I use. I have much more expensive chargers. I have chargers that do way more capacity and stuff like that, but for going to the track and just an everyday type charger, this is super convenient. It's really compact, and it's really kind of my favorite charger, and because it's just so easy to use. It's actually probably the easiest charger I own. So anyways, that's my quick review of this T240. If you want a little more in depth on all the individual features, I do go through it a little bit more in the C240 review. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe to my channel, hit the add notifications button, and look for more videos soon.